Hi, my name's Charles from MuddyCreek Tackle, and today we're going to talk about some accessories. Accessories are nice because it just makes your fishing go that much easier. So there's a lot of different things that we have here. We have the tool caddy, the electronics mount, we have some fixed rod holders, we have a lanyard ring, a gimbal bar, we have a lot of integrated gunnel mounting capabilities. We actually have something called a clamshell. We'll go over all this stuff. The risers, some downrigger mounts, and I just wanted to show you this a little later on. So what you're going to see most is usually the tool caddies. The tool caddies are made of a plastic composite material, so it's not going to corrode or rot or discolor. It also comes with a cup holder. We have the slots down the middle of the tool caddy, so if you're putting knives on the boat, you could slide those down in that tube and they're not exposed. We have a couple series of smaller holes on the outside for like staging lures or whatever, whatnot. And you can also mount a couple different like pliers and screwdrivers and stuff. One of the other ones you're going to see is electronics mounts. So we have a lot of different holes on here for the different electronics mounts that are on the market, and you can just mount that on there. We use the same knuckle assembly as we do our rod holder on here. So these things are completely adjustable. You can rotate them and pull them apart and move them in any which direction you want for how you're going to sit on your boat. We have a fixed rod holder. This one's just a vertical tube. It can slide into a track or a standard mount based on what you want to do or how you want to mount it. We also have an angled one. It's just a fixed tube, but it's just angled a couple degrees. You can slide that in there and screw that down. We also got risers on there. So those things can be bought with equipment on it already, or you can buy them separately and then add it to it. If you're always unsure, you can always call in and make sure that you're getting the right thing for what you're trying to mount. We have these clamshells. So these clamshells have a series of holes on them. We have 6 bolts on the outside, and we have 2 pieces that bolt together. The idea of the clamshell is to mount your stuff on a horizontal railing. So if you have a 7/8, 1 inch, 1 1/16, or 3/4, those are all the standard sizes that you normally see out there. We can mount stuff on that railing. The nice thing about the clamshells is it's got a radius in there. That radius and that arc, when you're clamping on a railing, it doesn't squash the railing. It doesn't bend the tubing, because most of that stuff's tubing. So you're getting a more surface area clamp on the clamshell. So we can add a rod holder or a tool caddy or whatever. This can be mounted right on top with a couple thumb screws, and you're ready to go. You're also going to see our downriggers. We have a couple different downriggers. We have one on a 5-inch riser. We also have one that's a low profile that sits in a track. And we have one like this one, which is a standard mount. It could be mounted directly onto a boat. You're also going to see these little guys. These guys are called lanyard rings. So these simply just slide right over the rod holder and right over the tube. So you're going to unscrew the tube and you'll slide that right in there. It's really nice if you're trolling and you're afraid your equipment's going to fall out. You can use like some type of, a bungee or a lanyard that you can grab and hold on to your equipment. We also have something called a gimbal bar. Not every rod holder has this in there. This is sold separately. The nice thing about the gimbal bar is if you have a rod that has the cross hatch on the bottom, you can add this to any of our equipment. It's just a couple pins and you just tap it on there with a little hammer. And now you can set your rod and reel in there, and it's going to help keep all your rods and reels in line so they're not just flopping around everywhere. We also offer a net holder. Our net holder is a little bit longer of a tube than our standard rod holder tube. It's going to allow it to keep it from really bouncing around as much as you're out there on the water. So we can mount that into a piece of track or even a standard mount based on how you want to put it on your boat. We always recommend using a net holder over a rod holder, just because you might accidentally break something if you do it that way, with all that leverage out there bouncing around on a rod holder. We also offer a cup holder. So we have a couple of these ears here, and they're spring-loaded. And we also have a flat groove on the back. So you simply just have to stick it in the track at an angle, pull on it, slide it down, and it's going to spring right back into the track.